Hello, and welcome to the Cultivate podcast with our hosts Jennifer Howes and Amy Bloy. Both the Howes and the Bloys planted churches over 20 years ago in Atlanta, Georgia, and have a desire to see other women in ministry encouraged, equipped, and connected. Today's episode is on marriage and the importance of boundaries, quality time, and keeping it fun. Let's listen in.
All right. Well, Amy, I'm so excited that we get to do this again.
Yes, me too. This is fun.
It's fun. And we don't get to talk except for podcast days, maybe. No, we did meet for breakfast.
Yes.
A couple months ago.
Podcast and lunch days.
Yeah. So that's fun.
It's fun.
All right. So what are you into these days? What's new that you have found?
Okay. Well, this is not exactly new, but it's what I'm into. And it's stevia.
Okay.
It's a sweetener, and you can buy it in these little plastic things or little packets. And I take it with me in my purse, and I'm a huge sweet tea lover.
Okay.
So I always get extra ice. It's always extra ice.
Extra ice.
But I put this in my unsweet tea, and it makes it sweet. And then I brought this. This is my little sign. And for those of you who are just listening, I'm going to read it to you. It says, "Raisin cookies that look like chocolate chip cookies are the reason I have trust issues." And this is in my pantry.
That's so true.
Yeah, I saw that and I thought that totally represents my love for chocolate chip cookies. But stevia is in Lily's makes a chocolate chip.
Okay.
And they're crazy expensive. It's ridiculous. But they have no sugar in them, and they're super yummy. Yeah,
All
Lily's
right, that's
chocolate
good to
chips,
know. Okay.
milk chocolate chips
All
are the
right.
best ones made with stevia. That's what I'm into. What about you?
What am I into? Well, one of the things that my family's not really happy about, but I decided this year not to do our traditional Christmas tree. And this might be coming out after Christmas, I'm not sure, but I bought a new tall, slim tree is it flocked or frocked?
Flocked.
Flocked.
Yes.
And then I bought ornaments and I didn't get out the homemade ornaments. And it's a beautiful decorated tree.
You.
And I added cardinals to it.
You're a bird person.
Yes. And Jonathan said that's embarrassing. But anyway, I'm in love with it.
I love it.
I'll post a picture of it so everyone can see it. But I'm super proud of myself. You would think I'm a decorator. I'm not, but you would think by how my tree looks.
That's
that
great.
I am. So that was super fun.
Good for you. I bought some little owls and I put them on my tree, and I thought of you actually
You did, yes.
2 days ago because you love birds, and my tree needed something that wasn't metal. And then I came home yesterday, and Gibson, our lab, had one of my owls chewed it up off my tree.
Yeah. All right. So today we have a really good topic. And we're talking about marriage.
Yes.
And marriage and ministry they go hand in hand when our husbands are full-time ministers. And but I have learned to just love doing ministry together, but it takes a lot of work.
Yep.
And there's some tricks that we've learned. So Amy, how long have y'all been married?
So in a couple weeks, we will have been married 31 years.
Okay.
What about you?
We will be in May. It'll be 29.
Okay.
Which I can't believe
Nice.
it. But I remember when Jonathan and I started dating, we were both in college ministry, same ministry, but different campuses. And so we had gone out on a few dates, and then I kind of panicked because I was really loving what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And it kind of felt like dating someone would get me off track, and it wasn't the right thing. And the woman that was mentoring me at that time said, "Well, have you ever thought that God's plan for you would be to do ministry together, married with someone? Just don't stress out about it." So that was good advice. And I think she said that if it's the Lord's will, you'll be more fruitful married. Like it's his will for you to be married and to serve and to do ministry. So
That makes sense.
I kind of took it on, but it's not always easy.
And you guys are a great team.
Thank you. I feel like we are. I feel like there are times where it's all consuming and out of balance. And so I feel like we're not a good team when that happens, because then we're in the flesh some. But we love doing ministry together. We're called to do it. So
I think a challenge with that is for Brian and me is that we become business partners.
Oh,
And our personalities are a lot alike. Like when we take the test, they're somewhat similar. And we've kind of just learned how to work together and make things happen and go like really, really fast and be super busy. And then we look back and go, wait, we're really great business partners, but what about like being best friends and
right.
lovers? You know,
Right.
like you lose that in ministry if you're not careful.
Right.
You can be really great at it, but you lose that personal, like emotional connection. And I guess that's what I'm passionate about is still having a healthy, great marriage in the middle of trying to help everybody else's marriage, right?
I know. And it does get hard, especially under stressful times. Stress could be because just the calendar is packed, like around Christmas time or certain seasons of the year. But also sometimes, just like anything else, like recently we've had several funerals back to back. So we're ministering to people. And those, we love to be with people and help them in that. But you've never scheduled a funeral. Like it comes on top of other things.
Right.
And so sometimes it just gets really stressful. And a lot of times it'll be the weekend, Friday night, and we're still talking about church. Mm-hmm. And so we'll look at each other and we'll be like, okay, time out, no church talk.
Yeah.
Like starting.
You have to do that.
You have to do that. So sometimes like we'll say, okay, starting Thursday at 5:00, because we're off Fridays. There is no church talk until Sunday morning. And then we have nothing to talk about. Yeah. It takes us like 2 hours to kind of get into a groove of, okay, we do have other things.
Right.
That we can talk about.
Like you have to be able to talk about your hopes and your dreams and books that you've read or places you want to go and movies you see and like other things in life other than church that you have to like cultivate this healthiness in your own marriage.
It used to frustrate me because Jonathan, he's a dreamer and he loves to talk about the future and buying the beach house. And I'm like, we'll never have enough money to buy a beach house. But now I've learned like go with it. Because it does get us talking about other things.
Yeah.
We may never have money to buy a beach house, but it's not a waste because we're enjoying.
And you've got the palm trees in your backyard right now.
Do.
So that's a start.
That's a start. Yeah. So that's definitely something that we have to force ourselves sometimes. Like, let's not talk about church for just a little while.
Yeah.
And make that decision. I think one of the things I've been guilty of sometimes is not trusting God with things and wanting to control too much, like in our lives and in our families. And that ends up affecting our marriage a lot. Mm-hmm. So I've had to learn to just chill out, be still, and know that I am God.
Yeah.
And just let God work things out, whether it's our family, church, marriage. Like give God time to work instead of me just jumping in and trying to work things out my way.
That's good. When we got married, we wrote our own vows to each other. And so Brian's vows, in his vows, he said, I promise to be in charge of fun. And,
that's
and
awesome.
I laughed I laughed through our wedding because when I'm nervous, I laugh, and he cried. So the two of us we were a little mess, but it was so sweet because looking back, he promised to be in charge of fun, and he has been like all this time.
Awesome.
And I think that's one of the best things probably about mixing marriage and ministry is just to have fun together, to keep having fun, because things can get so serious, and you're talking about funerals happen and life happens and ministry's heavy, and you have to keep having fun like you used to when you were dating.
Right.
We used to do all these fun things. We used to be happy and smiling, and there's a tendency, well, whether you're in ministry or not, but there's a tendency once you're married for a while, like you're not as fun and you're tired and you're worn out, and ministry can burn you out, and you have you have to almost determine, like, make it a priority. We're going to do
Right.
fun things. Like you said, not
Yep.
talk about the church. We're going to have fun and always have something planned, like on the calendar. This is fun.
Right.
This is what we're going to
So
do.
this is one of the sayings that we've had in the last, I would say 3 or 4 years is, I don't care what so-and-so says or so-and-so does. You and I, we're going to have a happy life.
Yeah.
You know, like our happiness and well-being isn't determined by other people's choices.
Yeah.
You and I can choose. We're going to have a happy life.
Yeah.
We're going to do life together. We're going to have fun. We're going to make memories. We're going to go on fun trips. We're going to love people well, and we're going to have a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can determine that. Choose joy, I guess, would be another way. But I remember one of our harder seasons. Typically in marriage, it's like one person's doing all right and the other one's having a hard time, and you know, you can lift each other up. But
Right.
a few years ago, both of us were in a really hard season, and I remember really struggling because I wanted to make sure that we did what God wanted us to do. And Jonathan did, of course, too. But like I said, I was trying to control it again. And God really laid on my heart, like, you're married to Jonathan. You're not married to your ministry. You're not married to this church. You're married to him. Like, get him off the hook. And so I remember going to him and just saying, we can do whatever God calls us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on board. I'm married to you and not this church. And that completely freed him up. It freed both of us up,
Yeah.
actually. And during that time, God reconfirmed in Jonathan's heart, no, you're doing what I want you to be doing. But I think keeping that in mind, sometimes I've lost focus that I'm married to like what we're doing together. No, I'm married to the man.
Right.
And wherever he wants to go and whatever he wants to do, we can do, I don't know, it can be fun and do life together.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah. It's a challenge sometimes.
And sometimes ministry becomes our project, you know, and it defines our life. And it's always cool to make your spouse your project, you know,
Okay,
to where I'm saying, okay, how do I get to know Brian better? Because we think,
like
oh,
that.
we know each other, you know, but you change, right?
Yeah.
Like over the years, being married 29, 30, 31 years, you grow and you change so much. And if you quit like being a student of your husband, well, then you don't know him anymore. And especially when the kids leave and, you know, like you're an empty nester. And then we've seen so many people who, you know, we sat at the ball field with for years and years and years. And it was all about either their job or in our case, ministry, right? And the kids. And then when the kids leave, you just look at each other and say, do I even know you?
Yeah.
And so if you just really make your spouse your project and try to get to know them all along the way, just study them and ask them questions. And it's kind of fun, really. You know, like you never stop learning each other. And if you do, well, then that's when things get sad and go off the rails. You don't know each other anymore. But I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to find new things I don't know about Brian, like something he likes. And then I try to learn more about that.
Right. I know that one of the things that's really sad is when people in ministry, their marriage doesn't work out, or it doesn't stay the course. There's so many reasons, and every situation is unique. But what would you say? What are some like boundaries y'all have in place to where you protect the marriage?
That's really good. We have some friends that, you know, we've kind of walked with them through that, and it's always sad. And then it's a wake-up call to the rest of us, right? To think, okay, where could this go off the rails? Yeah, I jotted down a couple things about some boundaries. I think the phone, when I've talked to women who are struggling in their marriage, they hate their husband's phone. It's like he loves the phone more than them. And we've tried to draw some boundaries about the phone. and just him actually taking a day off, and me taking, for a long time it was his day off, and then he said, no, this is your day off too.
Oh, yeah.
We have to take a day off. We have to have a day where, like you said, where we're not talking about the church, or we can just have fun and just be us, or we forget who we are. We're just
Right.
like in ministry, but that's not who we are. We have to have fun and be ourselves. And I think we've set boundaries around, like he doesn't counsel women by
Right.
himself.
Yep.
He doesn't ride in cars and go to lunch with women alone. I don't go, I wouldn't just be with a man by myself. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that. I'm just saying for us, that's probably not wise.
Right.
Because I look at where things go off the rails for people. I just don't ever want to like give the enemy an opportunity to jump in and do something because I just wasn't wise. So
Right.
just kind of stepping back and going, okay, where's some wisdom? And that he usually travels with somebody, one of the guys on staff, if I'm not able to travel with him, and just trying to set up some healthy boundaries like that.
Yeah, we
What about
definitely
you?
have those rules. And have you ever had like just a gut feeling that this is not a healthy relationship for you to, so when we first moved here, we were trying to meet everyone we could, and we were new to the area, and I've only had twice in our whole marriage like a bad vibe about something, and I've just said, I don't, do not, that woman sets off a vibe. So it's not like I'm this jealous woman, but like, that, and we've communicated that as well, but we don't text, if we're like yesterday, we were in a group text with a couple, but we couple, instead of me texting the husband, the four of us are in a group text.
Yeah.
Which ended yesterday in Jonathan and the husband texting back and forth something ridiculous that I did not want to be a part of. And I'm like, how did I get in this group text?
It's your little boundary you set
yes,
up.
but that was a boundary we set up, and we're super careful about it, and we don't counsel people. And it's really served us well. I have had a friend recently who they got in a situation where they were good couple friends, and then some inappropriate things happened between the husband and the wife of the other couple, you know what I mean? And they had to cut it off. But it starts innocent, but
For
enough. But the devil wants to get foothold.
Yeah, his whole goal is still kill and destroy, right?
Divide.
He
Yep.
wants to ruin your marriage and your kids and your family and destroy your church.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't think about that, but we certainly do have to have a plan. I mean, I don't want to be ignorant.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to be oblivious, just like,
No, what?
come ruin my marriage because I haven't
Right.
even thought about how to protect it, right?
Well,
we have
and
to
you
protect
you
it.
can never think that you're above that.
Right.
Like we would never
gosh.
have an affair. We would never
Yeah.
whatever.
We're all
it is.
human, and
we're all human. Yeah.
Which just reminds me how much we have to stay in God's word, right?
exactly.
Like if we are so busy teaching other people, God's word, that we're not in it ourselves, that's where we get all of our strength. And I read part of Beth Moore's, I did her study When Godly People Doing Godly Things. And it was years ago. But what I remembered from that was that, like Satan can just attack any of us. And any of us can do something stupid. And we just have to stay in his word and keep giving him control. And I think finding our significance and our security in him, even sometimes I will tend to want to find all my importance or my significance or security in a person like Brian, and I have to go, no, I can't find all that in him. Although he's amazing and I love him, I can't look to him to fill this void that God put in our hearts that can only be filled by Jesus.
Right.
And we have to keep going back and getting filled by him. And I think that
Well, and that goes
that's what keeps us from doing bad stuff.
Brian and Jonathan, they lead growing churches, and I know that Brian asks your opinion on a lot of things. Jonathan asks my opinion on a lot of things. And if I'm not studying the word, I'm not going to be able to give him godly advice.
Yeah.
So there have been a few times the past month or so that God's given me a word in my quiet time and I've sent him a text with the Bible verse and I was so glad that I had the quiet time. So I was able, I mean, it was for me too, but it was also for me to be able to give him a word that would encourage him in a busy day or to have perspective. So I really have to keep that in check too, because I can easily have a bad attitude about stuff. But if I'm in the Word, I'm less likely to influence.
Yeah, that's good.
In a different way. But so tell me something like what's y'all's favorite thing to do together? Like if you're in town, what's a fun like Friday? What
I was going to say our favorite thing is to travel out of town.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, agreed.
No, let's see. If we're in town, I would say that growing up and being young in ministry, we were never allowed to go to the theaters and watch certain movies. And so we have spent the last couple decades making up for it. And so we love movies. We love to do that.
Yeah.
We exercise together. He exercises a lot and I exercise a little, but we like to do that. And we certainly love to travel together.
Yep.
We're always planning the next trip,
That's
the
fun.
next thing that we're going to do together. Even if it's just like a one-day thing. Like over
Right.
Thanksgiving, we popped up to Boone and Blowing Rock. I think just going places we've never been
Yep.
and doing something like that together and eating, oh gosh,
Yep.
eating good food.
What
about you?
We feel like going out of town expands your brain. Like seeing something you've never seen, it helps relax. It helps, it's a distraction in a way, a healthy distraction to like get your mind at ease. We like to hike. So for our 20th anniversary, we went to Banff, which is in Canada, the Canadian Rockies.
Oh, wow.
And we bought like legit hiking clothes and shoes. We were complete nerds. We completely gooped out. But we hiked all through Banff. We loved it. And so since then, we've tried to go to different, national parks. But also if we're in town, we'll go somewhere, drive up to Chattanooga even, or just go someplace fun, go hike. So it's kind of, we
Get
do
outside.
like to eat too, get outside for sure. But yeah, we have a lot of fun doing things. So I guess encouragement to our young people in ministry and maybe old people in ministry, keep the marriage a priority.
Yep.
Take days off. Have fun.
Make your spouse your project.
I love that.
Yeah. Get to know your husband again. We gave each other a quiz one time. I made up these quizzes and I thought to myself, I talk and sometimes maybe he's not really listening. He's probably not going to really do well in this quiz. But anyway.
How'd he do?
He did great.
Okay,
I was
there
the
you
one
go.
that didn't do well. We like my favorite this, my favorite that, my first car, we just had all these trivia fun questions. And so we were driving and I would ask him all these questions. And I was shocked. Like he knew all these things. And so that kind of became my goal. I'm going to learn more stuff about him.
I love it.
Stuff that even when he's growing and changing as a person. Yep. Keep having fun. And you have to prioritize. I would say to our listeners, you have to prioritize your marriage over your ministry for sure.
Yep.
Like what you said, it's us. Like it's the two of us for the long haul.
That's right.
And that's what you have to invest in more.
Thank you for joining us today on the Cultivate podcast. It is so important to never stop having fun in your marriage. Life can get crazy with kids and your job and everything that life throws at you, but I beg you to keep going on date nights. Find that quality time together no matter what it takes. Speaking of whatever it takes, do everything you can to keep the marriage sacred. No one is above adultery. It can happen to anyone. You have to keep your guard up and have boundaries. Your marriage is the greatest relationship you will have here on earth. Treat it like it. We hope that this episode leaves you feeling encouraged or inspired. Be sure to rate this podcast and share it on social media, and we will see you on the next episode.